There we go. Okay, well, welcome to the orientation. If you've had a chance to browse through improperly the course, you will have come across the marking rubrics there that's listed. I'm not going to have a look at that this morning. You can look at it yourself, but just sufficient to say that each of the Zoom calls is awarded 100 points just by showing up. You don't have to send me any papers or do any work or anything that's connected to it, but I put value on being together at the orientation in particular. And so thank you for showing up. There are 8 participants so far in this course. There are 2 that are on the waiting list. That means that their applications and paperwork needs to be completed. So we may be up to 10. So that would be great as well for those who are seeking to develop in this area and to learn in this area. So let's have a look at the syllabus. Purpose of our orientation is basically to walk through the syllabus. I'm not going to read every section to you. You can do that for yourself, but I have highlighted a few pieces that I do want to point out so that you'll have a clearer understanding, or you'll understand that it's really important piece to me that I look for. Okay, if you have your syllabus handy on the first page, under delivery mode, this is all online, 100%, except these 2, there are 2 times we meet by Zoom. Oh, there's Kim. We'll just give Kim a moment to get in and set up. There she is. Hello, Kim.
There we go. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We've just started, Kim, and welcome to MIN250, and we're just starting to have a look at our syllabus. I did mention that if you don't know, the Zoom calls is worth 100 points because they're important for us to get together. We only do 2 Zoom calls throughout the semester. This one is an orientation to focus on the syllabus and any questions that you may have at the beginning. And the second Zoom call has to do with, it's in November month, but by that point in time, you will have decided what your project is. So we like to have the time of sharing and presenting what our projects, what you're working on anyway for the graduating project. And I find that conversation is extremely valuable as we enter into questions and excitement for each other as you work through. So we're looking at the syllabus just at page 1. I'm just mentioning that there are those 2 virtual meetings in the term, and the dates are in the course, but they're also in Populi, also where you'll also find the other Zoom invite there.
Okay.
Okay, the course description, just underneath that delivery mode, the second line there, the purpose of the graduating project is to integrate the students' vocational ministry practice with their accumulated understanding of the Bible, theology, professional chaplaincy, and their specific field of ministry. So this is an opportunity that you can take to totally focus on one aspect or something that you really wanted to dig deep down into, but really never ever had much time to do that. Or you might have been saying to yourself as you've been going through some of these courses, well, I'd really like to explore this piece a bit more in regards to my ministry. Or you might be saying something like, I wish I had time to work on a little mini program that I could create for the people that I serve. This is really a gift that you're giving to yourself. Now, I know some people might say, yeah, this is going to be hard work. This is studying. This is all of this. You notice there's no required textbooks. There's no required article readings. This is a totally online, self-directed course. And I'll share with you some ideas of what other participants have done for their projects, which might kind of be the priming the pump for you a little bit. Everybody seems to enjoy hearing what other people have done, because then they're able to sit back and say, oh, that sounds like a neat idea. Or it connects to something else in your thinking, and you think, I could do this kind of a project. So the purpose of this is to be able to focus on those that you particularly serve. If you're not in a position right now, or you're not in a ministry unit, or you're not employed in an area of ministry, then think of an area that you'd really like to focus on in order to develop a project as outlined in the syllabus. So if we turn over to page 3, big jump, because on page 2 is the final project report. So if you see on page 2 all those 6 sections there, statement of review of current thinking, academic, biblical, theological, professional best practice, description of personal engagement with the issue or the project, presentation, and bibliography. Those are kind of the framework. If you're thinking of a project to work on, those are some of the places where you might want to ask yourselves, okay, what is my statement of purpose? That'll be the really crunch of your project. It's almost like your thesis statement. It's almost like writing a question and saying, how can I answer that? And that becomes your project as you work out, what's out there in current thinking and practice around this piece. Or you may think of a project that may be the creation of a program, or an initiative, or an advertising, or a training for some people that you work with. All of those are legitimate projects as well. So you can have more of a research paper if you want to approach your project from that perspective, or you can have more of a hands-on type of project. But this framework on page 2, some of these pieces need to show up throughout your project. If you were creating a program, you would give some of the background, you would answer the questions to some of these, to these 6 sections, and then outline the program. Who would it be for? What's the purpose of it, etc. And then just create that program. If you turn over to page 3, under course requirements, the graduating project, about 3/4 of the way down, is self-directed. Students will be required to set their own course of research, reflection, and development of the final submission. Graduating project is intended to be more of a project than an essay. Through the project, students will need to demonstrate how their thinking has or can be applied to their field of ministry. The result of this project will be a reflective paper of at least 15 pages, please no more than 20 pages, okay? Maximum 20, minimum 15. You notice on page 4, the second the second Zoom conference will be arranged for Tuesday, November the 4th, and same time frame at 11. So you've got early advanced information on the second Zoom call, so hopefully you'll be able to attend to that as well. Okay, what you will find in regards to submissions, anything that you send outside of the final project, which is due December the 1st, are 2 pieces of paper, and the files are in your Populi to fill out. The first is the submission of the project proposal template. It helps you by just asking you some questions. It walks you through some questions to help you kind of start taking shape once you've decided on what kind of a project that you want to be engaged in. And that's due October the 3rd. If you're stuck on that and you want to talk out loud with somebody, goodness sakes, send me an email, please, and we can arrange a time to connect, either on Teams or Zoom. I'd be happy to be able to help you to tweak anything or pull things out and ask you some questions that might get you moving along the way. So don't stay stuck very long.
Okay.
If you get stuck, just reach out to me, drop me an email, and I'll respond right away and we can set something up. So that paper is due October the 3rd. It's just a one-pager. You can respond in bullet points. It doesn't have to be certain font or anything, but there does have to be an answering to the questions on the sections on that proposal. It's a proposal template. That's all it is. You don't have to fill in much. It just is a proposal. If I read it and have questions, I'll respond back to you. Most of you, I think, were in my last class, and I do respond in detail. I'll say pretty much what the strength of this is, what the challenge might be, what you might want to consider thinking about as you're working on that project. So hopefully that will be helpful to you as well. Then the next piece of work, so that's October the 3rd, the next one is your progress report template. So the first one's the proposal. The second one, that's due October the 20th. So I've given you kind of 20 days, a little less than 20 days from the proposal to the progress. So what I want to see, you won't have a lot of movement, but there will be some shaping taking place, or there should be some shaping taking place. And I just want to check in to see how that's going for you. And again, I will respond because my response needs to be really timely so it doesn't hold you back in waiting. So as soon as you send me your proposal or your progress report, I will respond back right away. And then the submission of your final project, final paper, December the 1st. So the two templates and then the final project. I will ask you for nothing else in between. There will be no surprises. I think we're going to do this. There'll be no short reflections, nothing. This is a self-directed study. So all the time that you allocate to your courses, you will need to develop this project. Now, we'll have some time for questions in a moment, but let me just share with you some ideas. So I'll give you an idea of what others have done. Okay. There was someone who wrote a project on addiction aftercare. Another wrote on my identity and my engagement in my ministry. Another wrote understanding Indigenous spirituality. That was a big one when she started out on that one because that's a big topic. So she ended up, we had some conversation to help her narrow that down. But it came under the understanding Indigenous spirituality. Another one was heart math technique for resiliency in individuals or groups. Heart math is a tool that's used to help determine how individuals are resilient or not. To what degree are individuals resilient? And so this gentleman, he wanted to be able to drill down on that particular tool and had a couple of clients, participants, agree to work with him on that for his submission to the paper. So that was that one. One is substance abuse and family. Another one was mental health in the church awareness. Now this was presentation to churches around mental health. So there she answered her 6 sections very briefly, but she created a PowerPoint, handout notes, and she delivered it to 3 different churches and got feedback on that and presented that also as part of the project. So that you can see that was a really hands-on piece. And as a result, she's going about word spreading, and she's going about doing that in quite a number of churches in her community. So that was she was really excited about that. Here's some others, ideas of projects for chaplains that could be meaningful and impactful. Community prayer walks. How to organize a regular one. What goes into that? We're just not kind of sauntering around the neighborhood. I mean, for some people, that's what they do, but planning, community prayer walks, spiritual care packages. Create and distribute spiritual care packages to those particularly either in private homes or in long-term care. How to go about that, what to include in that. Faith and wellness workshops. Create and host workshops that explore the connection between faith and wellness, mental health, and physical health. And topics could include things like meditation, stress management, or healing through prayer. This is the one that I just loved. I received just recently called Storytelling Series. Mm-hmm. This student collected and shared stories of faith, of resilience, and of hope through those that she served. They could be shared. She shared them in a newsletter, anonymously in newsletter. And she's even working on creating a book, publishing a book of storytelling series book. Sometimes when you go into chaplaincy responsibilities, there's not a lot of resources where you're working for particular chaplaincy. I mean, they may send you off to workshops or take a seminar or whatever, but chaplaincy resources. So this one chaplain, and she focused on a particular area, home, in the home, because that's becoming a growing edge for chaplaincy and spiritual care, is chaplaincy service offered in the home. The health field is moving out to that, particularly with palliative patients and clients, and particularly with individuals who want to be able to spend their last days in their home. So how does the chaplain show up when you're in the home setting? And so chaplaincy resource for home chaplaincy, in the home chaplaincy and spiritual care. So it's attending to not only the individual in the home, but all their family that they meet from time to time as they have their visits. My mother had a beautiful, beautiful end-of-life care program created for her. Her pastor came in to see her. The Victorian Order of Nurses came in to bathe her and care for her. The palliative care nurses came from the hospital to check in on her. Her doctor came and did a home visit. So there were people moving in and out of her home. And when my sisters and I went home in the last couple of weeks of her life, these people came in, and it was just a beautiful thing to see them taking care of my mom in the way that they did. And I can remember one time sitting in the kitchen having a cup of tea. The VON nurses were in and they were bathing my mom, and their voices were so soft, and they were just talking, calling her by name. Lillian, could you just roll over a little bit here? We're going to help you, Lillian, Lillian, Lillian. And just a beautiful hush that was taking place in that dining room where we had gotten her bed, as they cared for her in very practical ways. And then they always spent time to talk to myself if I was home, or myself and my sisters at that time. So how does the chaplain show up in that kind of ministry now that that's becoming more common than not? So those are some of the projects that folks have done last year. And I'm going to ask, and I have asked him, I don't know if you know Tyrone, if you've met Tyrone throughout your courses yet. He did a project on chaplaincy and art, chaplaincy through art. And so I had a group of artists from the community come in and he had the purpose all defined and everything. Really well done. He videotaped some of the sessions with the permission of the clients, the participants who were there, some of the sessions as they kind of rolled out, and sent that as part of his project. So I've asked him, because it's quite a unique one, I asked him if he wouldn't mind presenting that at the next conference, Chaplaincy and Spiritual Care Conference. So I've been looking for 2 or 3 projects that are unique to be able to have them showcased at the next conference. So to share some very creative thinking amongst the chaplains and spiritual care givers. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. Do you have questions?
Project. Okay.
Questions or concerns, or what about kind of questions? What about this? What about that? Oh, Doug, are you okay?
It depends who you ask. No, I'm doing okay. Just getting my brain around what you've talked about. So yeah,
Okay. All
new
right.
ideas come into mind. I like the indigenous and policing pops in.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Sonia, any questions from you?
Yeah. So what if, like if you're doing the hands-on, do you have to ask permission from certain organizations? This is my project. Do they have to contact you to say, yes, this is authentic?
Yeah. No, your syllabus is sufficient information if they wanted to see something concrete. I mean, you can give them my name and contact email. I have no problem with that, but we've never had that. You do need to ask permission though, if you're inviting somebody in to do something in particular, you're going to want to share what the purpose is and all of that.
Okay.
But you need to ask permission from the participants or the clients or the guests. Or,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
Know that this is going to be part of your project for your studies.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay. Dawn, you got any questions, comments?
I have some just thoughts. Like, so by October 3rd, we should have our idea in stone and proposing that. Is that what the October 3rd is?
It is. It doesn't have to be in stone. It's the piece that's kind of come to you. That's, you can change that, but you can't change it after October the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like in our ministry, we do a huge project for Christmas time every year called the Christmas Sunshine Bag, and all the institutions around here.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a major project, and I'm the one in charge of it. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think maybe I could implement that, or I'm not sure. I have a lot of thoughts too. So
Yeah, I mean, the good question to ask yourselves, particularly Dawn, as you put that piece out there, that's a familiar activity that happens throughout the year, right? The sunshine bags and all of that, and the handing them out. So the question is, how could I enhance that from a chaplaincy and spiritual care perspective? So when you ask that question, that's kind of like an open question. How can I do that? So it opens the window for some creative, sitting down and doing some creative thinking. Could I do this? Could I do this? Could I do this? Right? And if in the course of your thinking about how could I do this, you think, yeah, that's not going to check the box around chaplaincy and spiritual care, or yeah, these things are really great opportunities. One thing I would caution everyone on is don't make it so big that it becomes cumbersome. Narrow it down. And that's why it's important to devise a question. You're going to create a question. It's like a thesis statement. It's the question, what this is about. Okay? Yeah.
I already have ideas what I'm going to do. So
Okay. Yeah, just scribble down every idea that comes to your mind and then go back over that page. And I'm a great doodler. I love doodling. I've got writings all over, upside down, circles around them, little stars coming out of them. But then I go back and some of them will kind of drift away and the others will remain. And it's just kind of a mind mapping process that I use for myself. Kim, what about you? Do you have any questions or comments?
So when you mentioned about a program, like if we were to create a program that's not just in theory, right? Like you want us to host a program or a couple of like of a series of programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the program can be one of, it doesn't mean a program that you have to keep running for 6 months or 8 months.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
It can be a one of kind of initiative with a spiritual chaplaincy and spiritual care focus in it. So if you're going to do a program that's, well, let's take the one Tyrone did, with art, chaplaincy through art. There was a lot of time spent in the creation of what they were making, the participants, what they were making. But he intentionally brought in others from a chaplaincy perspective to make sure that there were people at different tables so that if conversation, so it was a very conversational piece. And then he kind of wrapped it all together. But he had, in his purpose, he had identified things that he wanted to make sure would happen in the scope of that art creative experience with the participants. Yeah. So you can have a program that goes 3 months or 6 months and then review it afterwards. But you can also have a one of type of program. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Jackie, any thoughts or questions from you?
I don't think I have any. I'm more of a processor, so they'll probably come afterwards.
Okay.
But like for me, I'm thinking of a project, just like Dawn, I'm in very busy ministry and I'm having certain things assigned to me through my role as chaplain.
Right.
And so one of the projects I'm thinking of doing is a long-term project. My role in that would be the creation and teaching of it.
Okay.
So it would be more, and then leaving it with the staff and the other directors to kind of implement and make their own, but introducing more spiritual care, spiritual practice, connecting what we already do with spiritual practice, that type of thing. And so, yeah, I think it will fit well. I probably will have some questions though later.
Okay. All right.
Once I process a bit more.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Jackie, about, you're getting assigned some more tasks, pieces to do. That's often the way. I've heard this a lot about from chaplains, that you come in as a chaplain, you get your initial job description or your ministry, excuse me, or your ministry descriptor. And then a couple of months go along and then, could you add this? And it kind of gets bigger and bigger without you even realizing that, right? I came across that many, many times. And so I developed a tool for myself based on my role or my ministry at the time. And I call it the fit filter. Like, does this fit? So it's kind of very basic. So the fit filter, and there's 4 things in that fit filter. So it's got to go, the ask I have to do that for my own thinking so I can make sure that I can give adequate time. So if I'm already overloaded over here, there may be, okay, I'd love to do that. I'd love to say yes. So what do I need to say no to over here, right? So, or what do I need to say no to for a period of time over here? And how can I shape that no to still continue on? So one would be, if they're asking me to do something, who is this going to be connected to? So it's always the audience or the target audience check. So who is this for? All right. does this idea or does this task really meet the needs of this group of people that I'm to serve? The other is the purpose check. So there's the audience check, there's the purpose check. So does it advance the chaplaincy and spiritual care ministry? Sometimes it's not even connected to it, or it might be a one-off, right? Then the third one is a format. Okay, a format check. So you get the audience check, who's it for? The purpose check, that's pretty basic, right? And then the other one is the format check. Is it possible to deliver it in the time that they want? Right, so you're looking at those practicality pieces. Is it, how flexible am I going to be allowed to be in that format in creating what they want done? And the other one is the distinction check. So the audience, the purpose, the format, and then the distinction check. And that means, does it complement what I'm doing as a chaplain and spiritual care? Or does it duplicate anywhere within my roles? Does I show up anywhere else in my roles? And this is the big one for me. Does it strengthen chaplaincy and spiritual care in the lives of the people that I serve or I'm being asked to serve in this ask? So that's just a little freebie. That's a little bit of information right there, my fit filter that I use. Because in particular, it has been really helpful being at the School for Continuing Studies again as the director of the school, because the campus, the academic office, and the School for Continuing Studies often bump heads, right? From time to time. And, we're in rooms together, and there's those that really support the school. There are those that, they feel that the school takes away from people who should be in the classroom, sitting in the chairs. And I get that. I get that for sure. But from my perspective, we're there to support each other. They can pull expertise out of the School for Continuing Studies, just as I should be able to pull expertise from faculty as well in the development of programs. So oftentimes when we're talking about different things and they're asking us to do something, I mentally run it through my fit filter and I'm able to do that quickly and say, yes, we could do that. And here's why. I can say the purpose is this, it's for this audience, which is like our audience. It has to be a flexible audience. Like I can just run that through very quickly. So yeah. Okay. Nathan, do you have any questions or comments? I promise not to go in a whole down the rabbit trail, but maybe that little fit filter might be helpful at some point in time in your ministry. Nathan, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of questions. Kind of more like Jackie as well, kind of processing throughout. But luckily in my role, we're always looking to implement new spiritual care practices and new, programs or offerings. So we actually, myself and my team are in the midst of looking into implementing a few things this fall anyway. So it kind of works that I could make that a bit into my project as well. So.
Yeah. Now, Nathan, you mentioned something really good there about you and your team. So you have a team of folks that you work with?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't hesitate to involve your teams if you have teams in your project. You don't have to do it like a solo thing. You can incorporate a group that you're working with as well. Saying that sharing that this is your project that you're working on. If there are things, ask them to speak into it. What do they think about this? How do you think it would be helpful? And can you think of other pieces that might contribute to that? So don't hesitate to do that as well. Does anybody else work with a team? Or you lead a team? Doug, do you lead a team or are you? No, okay. I would say, yeah, Sonia, are you
No.
working? No. Dawn, do you have a team? Okay,
Yes, we have a team.
okay. Who leads the team?
Diana Buffy.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right. You might even want to have a conversation with Diana and say, I'm working on my graduating project. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I already have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do, but
Okay.
I'll email you with some thoughts. So
Okay, sure, absolutely. Kim, are you working by yourself or do you have a team that you're connected with somehow?
No, I don't really have a team, but I do work in the family services that is connected to the church. So my core officers are very supportive, but primarily I'm working independently. Yeah.
Okay. And Jackie, you don't have a team, do you?
No. I work with 9 or 10 other directors of programs, so I'm on that team.
On kind of like a management team?
Yeah, like I'm on the management team.
Yeah.
So I work within that and will need to involve them and then team leaders as well, in the different sites.
Right. Okay.
Standards of Excellence recommended bringing in more chaplains because
It is.
it is quite a big ministry.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. If there are no more questions or comments, I have one question to ask. And the question is this, and this is going to be hard work, really hard work. But you can only use one word only. You can't define it or anything. No other words around it. Just one word that describes what you're hoping for from this semester.
Connection.
Connection. Okay.
Growth.
Sorry?
Growth.
Growth. Okay. Thank you.
A chain of no one word.
One more.
Yeah, a purpose. Purpose.
Okay.
Learning.
Learning. Yeah.
I'll say inspiration.
healing.
Perfect. I'm going to make a word cloud out of these words, and I'll post it up with the recording in Populi. Okay? So that's connection, growth, purpose, learning, inspiration, healing. Those are all very good words. And you know what, friends? I believe all of those pieces will roll out throughout the semester. So my last words, don't hesitate to contact me. You want to bounce things around with me? I'd be here to bounce them around with you too. So you know how to reach me. My phone number is on the syllabus, my email address. Yeah, it's all good. If you want to put my phone number into a text, you'll get me even faster. Okay, folks. Thank you so much for your time this morning or this afternoon or whatever time it is where you are. And we're done 5 minutes early, I think. So you got 5 minutes free time. So spend our 5 minutes wisely. Anyway, well, I'm sure we'll be in touch with each other. And God bless you as this particular course rolls out.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Susie.
Bye now.
All the best, everyone. Thank you, Susan.
Yep.
Thank you.